Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. To all of my subscribers, shout out to you guys. I appreciate you. If you have not subscribed yet, this is your first time visiting my channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you can come and hang out with me every time I upload a video. Alright guys, this is my review, Married at First Sight, Season 10, Episode 14. This is the couples retreat. Okay, so everyone's packing up, ready to go. Derek and Katie on their way up. She's been the Debbie Downer that she always is. He's like dancing and acting goofy on the ride up. They in her confessional, she was saying how basically she's still in her feelings about seeing the love poem that Derek wrote his freshman year in high school. Like she's still tripping off of that. They started talking about issues that they felt hindered their past relationships. Derek was saying, communication was a big thing for him, as well as, not opening himself up to love. Katie was saying, insecurity, which is not a surprise at all. They get there first, they arrive first at the retreat, followed by Austin and Jessica, who insists on bringing this big ass crock pot. Poor Austin. He was like lugging it around while they were getting a tour of the house. Brandon and Taylor, they're coming with the drama. Um, so apparently Taylor stayed out all night with at some hotel with two of her friends per Brandon. Then she sits with the girls and she starts venting about Brandon, not taking initiative to talk. They weren't spending much time together. So then Katie chimes in saying, she totally understands because Derek doesn't initiate anything, mainly sex. So then the question was asked if Taylor and Brandon have had sex yet, to which she answered no. So they haven't had sex yet. Um, Mike and Mika on their way to the retreat, Mika's asking Mike what was he hoping, what was he looking forward to at the retreat. And he said watching some football and hanging with the guys, and that's pretty much it. Like that's what he said, that's pretty much it. So Mika was saying she's hoping that, not only can they have a good time with the other couples, but also work on their communication. She was saying she feels since the recommitment, they are going backwards. In the meantime, Mike wasn't saying anything. And I was trying to figure out why, because it seemed like there was tension there. And I mean, granted, there's editing, we don't see every little thing. But I was kind of trying to figure out why does it seem like there's tension? Because the last time we saw them, they met with Dr. Viviana, and you know, Mika was trying to. Well, I don't know if I should say console him, but she was saying that she could understand him more, what he's going through, why he does the thing he does. So everything seemed okay. Now, remember, she ended up having a meeting with his sister. So I'm inclined to think that maybe Mike's a little salty because Mika met with his sister and was basically saying how Mike was this big liar, she don't trust him and all of that. That's the only thing I can think of as to why maybe he seemed like he have an attitude. Anyway, they finally arrive and Mika is walking like a whole football field length ahead of Mike. Like she was so far ahead of him going in the house. So Mika goes straight into the kitchen where everyone, greets her and Mike. Well, Mike walks in to the little nook where Brandon is, which is off the patio. Um, anyway, so Brandon is in there. They're pouring themselves a drink, and they just seem so happy to see one another. Um, Taylor and Mika starts walking around like Taylor's showing Mika around the house, and as soon as they leave out, Jessica and Katie starts out with the whole, "Oh, Mika doesn't look happy. Yeah, you could tell something's there's no happiness there at all." Now I understand. Listen, I understand when you're around other couples or even when it's a group of people and you notice some things, people are going to gossip. That's what we do. But it seems like every time they're in a group setting, the attention is always on, oh, what's going on with Mike and Mika? That's always been the case. And my thing is, the two of you just sat down and was talking about the issues in your relationship. I mean, Jessica, hers is not really major, but Katie, you just sat there and had two conversations about how everything Derek does and says annoys you, how he doesn't initiate anything. Like, you pretty much were saying you were unhappy with your marriage, yet you sitting up here passing judgment and ready to gossip about Mike and Mika about she's not looking happy and everything else. They irritate me with that. They do it all the time. So anyway, dinner's ready. They cook dinner together. Dinner's ready. And Derek comes and sits down next to Taylor, which instantly pisses Katie off. Apparently, you can tell that I don't. Well, okay, I don't know where else he could have sat because she was sitting next to Jessica, and then it was Austin. So there was only one seat available. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't see a problem with him sitting next to Taylor at the time. So Mike and Brandon, they decide to join the group now. Okay, and at first they were sitting outside, and Brandon was like, "Yeah, I'm tired. I think they're getting ready to eat dinner. I'm not even hungry, whatever." But they end up going inside to sit with the group. So Mike goes in first, and they're asking Mike, did he want to drink? And he's like, "Nah, I'm good." But he did, he wanted something to eat. That was it. Brandon comes in, and they're like, "Oh," okay, they start talking about taking shots and drinking or whatever. And you can see the little cattiness between Katie and Taylor, because Derek was like, "Oh, should we do a drink now, whatever?" And Taylor was like, maybe we should wait because your wife, I don't know." And so Katie was like, "No, we could do it now." And Taylor was like, "Oh, okay, well, excuse me." So when Brandon comes in, they they were in the middle of like doing the drinks, and so they asked Brandon. He was like, "Oh, nah, I'm good, but I will take a beer or some wine," And I looked at it like, here's my thing, Brandon. Well, okay, let me finish. So Taylor was like, "Oh no, come on, you could take at least one drink. You could take a sip." Like, she kept pushing it, and he was like, "Well, nah, I have to go to work tomorrow all day, blah blah blah. I'll just do beer and or wine. Taking shots is not my thing, whatever." So he gets up. He's like, "I'll go get it." He gets up. He goes. As he's getting up to go get his drink, Taylor's waving him off like, "Psh, whatever, forget him," type thing. And I'm like, if it's not, Brandon could have very well just went in the room and been antisocial. Okay, I feel like, all right, he didn't want to take a shot. He didn't want to drink what y'all was drinking, but he's there and he's saying, "I won't drink that, but I'll drink this." Taylor, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I've noticed that Taylor appears to be tipsy a lot. And when she's drunk, she is a totally different person. Like, she nitpicks a lot. And especially when she gets with the group, she's really showing out. However, Brandon motions for Mike to leave out with him. And it seemed like when Brandon and Mike together, Mike just follows Brandon around everywhere. Like, when Brandon's like, "Let's go, let's jump, whatever," Mike is on board. So Derek, who is clearly drunk at this point, he starts playing with Taylor. And Katie is ready to just pop every last one of them freckles off her face. Like, she is seeing red. So she was saying, "Oh, Derek, he loves all the wives but her." Taylor no doubt sees this, okay? And she turns it up a bit. So she's saying, "Oh, Derek, we're always on the same page. He's so funny." And she just loves him. So they start getting, like I said, touchy feely. She's grabbing his arm, laying her head on his shoulders. He's tapping her on her shoulder. They're high fiving each other. So Jessica told, the group that she said, "I love you" to Austin. Now, she didn't just come out and say that. What happened was she was like, she was excited to be there. She was looking forward, to coming there with all the other couples. And then she's like, "No offense, Austin, and she was going to say, I love you, but she couldn't even form the rest of her sentence. And Mika jumped right in there and was like, oh, wait a minute. Were you getting ready to say love? Was that the L word I heard? And so then that's what made her say, well, yeah, I did tell him that I loved him. And so of course everyone started cheering. They were happy for them. Everybody but Katie. She was just sitting there drinking her wine. So Derek offered Austin some advice. He was like, make sure you're 120% sure before saying it back. So for whatever reason, Katie took that personal and called him an asshole. So Derek was like, baby, I really, really like you. And everybody starts laughing. So she ends up leaving the room, but she's like yelling back to the dining area. Oh, Derek, you're so great. You're so amazing. But she's clearly pissed off. So everybody, well, the girls, not Taylor, Mika and Jessica, they get up and they go after Katie, to just talk to her, calm her down. Everybody comes there, but Taylor, okay, she stays back talking to Austin and Derek. So in her confessional, Katie was saying that, she was hoping that like that to her that would have been the perfect time for Derek to come to find out where she was and to talk to her to see what was going on. But instead, he chose to stay and talk to Taylor. So she was saying how she's the one holding the relationship together. Derek isn't doing anything, yet everyone feels like he's so great and she should feel lucky when, she's the one doing everything. So Brandon and Mike are back out on the patio and he's telling Mike about the incident with Taylor staying out all night and texting him the next morning. Mike was saying how, when he talked about his uncle passing and he started crying, how Mika just sat there offering no support. And so he felt like, she didn't care. All back into the dining area. And Taylor, she's talking to Derek and Austin and she's talking about, her issues with Brandon and Derek is offering her some advice. Like he's really into what she's saying and he's just giving her advice. Katie gets obsessed again and leaves. So at this point, Derek goes in the room with her and he's like, what's wrong with you? She's like, oh, you're out there the way you're talking to everybody. So he's like, so the first thing he says is, do you think I'm flirting with Taylor? And so Katie's like, yeah, the fact that you even say that first, that's the first thing to come out your mouth. You already know what's up. Like, this is what you're doing. She was saying she felt like, it's annoying to see how he acts with other people. So they started going back and forth and she was like, she don't feel special as his wife. He doesn't take initiative physically. Like, I don't even know how the whole conversation drums down to him not initiating basically sex. So he was saying, you've been on, and it's so funny because he's drunk, and he's like, well, you've been on your period for 6 days. Um, so she was like, well, Derek, married people have sex on their period, so that's not an excuse. And he was getting irritated. He was like, look, okay, I didn't initiate sex when you was on your period. However, the last time I did initiate sex, you said no. So she's getting pissed. She leaves, go outside, and he goes out there after her. They're talking, and she's telling him that, here we have all the other wives are here who are not getting along with their husbands, and yet you're showing them more attention and more affection than you are to me. And so he was saying, he doesn't feel like he's doing anything wrong. He's just being himself, just trying to offer advice, just being nice, whatever. And, Katie's like, oh, but you don't act like a loser or a weirdo with everyone else. And so Derek is just like pissed. And he's like, whenever he tries to initiate things, Katie always shoots him down. And we've seen that for ourselves. Whenever he tries to be himself, she makes fun of him. She makes fun of him. So, anyway, Mika and Mike, they're in the kitchen, and Mika's telling Mike, look, I feel like it's best we don't sleep in the same room tonight because, basically you're acting like you're not feeling this. And we shouldn't fake it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not feeling it. I'm not feeling the fact that you're not feeling it. And so there's no point in faking it, staying in the same room like everything is okay. So they end up in separate rooms. Brandon is still outside. And Taylor comes out. She sits on his lap like everything is cool, like nothing's wrong. Mind you, they've been separate all night, pretty much. They had an argument the night before, so for her to come out and act like nothing's happened, you know. So anyway, they start talking about the situation. Right, now's the time to have this conversation. So there's two versions to this. Okay, now we've heard Brandon's version, which by all accounts, Brandon's version, it made it seem like Taylor hung out with her friends. Since she would drop her friends off, she ended up falling asleep. She didn't text him to the next morning. Okay. Taylor's version is she wanted to hang out with Brandon at home. Like, she was in for the night. She wasn't trying to go out. She wasn't trying to do anything but hang out with him. And but he said that he had to go to work. So in other words, he wasn't trying to hang out with her. He was like, "Look, I need to go to work," and she drove him to work, which was in D.C. Okay, so she drove him to work in DC, and she said, well, since I'm already going to be in DC because I'm taking you to work, I might as well go see my friends who are also in DC. Now, you have to follow the whole thing, okay? So Brandon was kind of like cutting her off, and he was like, oh, tell the whole story, blah, blah, blah. So come to find out, so Taylor was like, you didn't even go to work. You went back to your well, she said went back home, which is Brandon's apartment in DC. Taylor goes and meets up with her friend. So she took one of her friends to another friend hotel to use the bathroom, which okay. She ends up falling asleep, which is what she texted him. So apparently, see, Brandon said Taylor didn't text him to the next morning. Like, he didn't know where she was all night until the next morning she texted him. Taylor is saying when she got to the hotel, she texted Brandon, but he didn't text her back. So she said at that point she went home. She went home and she walked the dog. Okay. So then Brandon is like, no, so to talk about where you went afterwards, talk about, you hanging out with some other guys. At that point, the conversation just kind of, she didn't really explain that, and he didn't push the envelope with that anymore. But she did call him a bitch while they were arguing, and he was saying, yeah, did I hold a gun to your head to go hang out with your friends? And she was like, no, bitch. I went there because of you. I ended up hanging out because of you because I had to take you to work. So I was just like, oh my God. And, he was like, oh, okay. So he's looking at the camera and he's like, she just called me. She just called me, a bitch or whatever. So anyway, she goes in the house, and one of the crew members asked Brandon if he was okay. So Brandon is like, look, take this mic off of me, get the cameras off of me. You're not going to get what you want. Like, you're not going to get the footage that you want. So the guy comes over to Brandon and was like, look, don't take the mic off. That's not your property. Don't touch it. Brandon is, so the guy's over, he's like in Brandon's face. Brandon's taking off the mic. He takes it off. He places it in the guy's hand. He wasn't aggressive or anything. He puts it in the guy's hand. So now they're inside the house. Taylor is in her PJs. She's getting ready for bed. And Brandon is arguing with production. And I mean, he is performing, okay? I don't know if it's the alcohol. I don't know what it is with him in production, but he was going off. The guy was up in his face, and they were just going back and forth. So then the whole crew was coming in there, and the guy that was standing next to Brandon, I'm assuming was security, because he wasn't saying much, but he was kind of standing in between Brandon and one of the producers. So they're going back and forth, and Brandon's like, "Look, whatever. What you gonna do? Hit me? What you gonna do? You know?" And he's calling the guy an idiot, saying they're full of shit. I mean, he was just going off on them, and so the guy was like, "Look, I'm not making you stay. You can leave if you want to." So he was like, "Nope, I'm just gonna stay here and be an asshole all night. You know, just being a butthole basically." Um, so Brandon goes into the room where Taylor is. He's going in there to pack up his stuff. While he's packing his stuff up, Taylor is like in his face. I mean, literally in his face. She's trying to talk to him. She's trying to make him stay. And he's like, "Look, get out of my face. Don't touch me." So he's trying to put on his little sweat hoodie. He's, like I said, he's getting his stuff together. And she will not back up. He goes in the bathroom. She's right behind him. Okay. So she's in the bathroom. She closes the door. And you can hear him yelling like, "Stop touching me, don't touch me, get off of me, get out of my face, move so I can leave." Okay. And she's not moving, so you can hear like some banging going on and the door moving. So and then Taylor is like, "I'll let you leave, just give me a minute to move out the way." So I don't know if he was kind of like reaching over her or behind her to open the door, but he couldn't open it because she was up against it. I don't know. What I will say is, okay, I feel like Taylor going in after. Now we all seen Brandon. First of all, he was drunk. Okay, we all seen him how he behaves. All right, you walking into a small bathroom with this man and closing the door was the dumbest move ever. Dumbest move ever. Even if it's okay, so let's just say he's like, "Look, move, 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 move." She's not moving. Even if he just slightly moved you out of the way, he's gonna look like the bad guy. It's gonna look like, oh, he's touching her. And Brandon knew this. So what he did, which I think was smart, he turned on his phone. He said, "I'm going to record this for my own safety, for my backup. I'm going to record this, us in this bathroom together, because I don't trust you. I know how you lie. I don't trust you." I agree with that. I totally agree with that, because the cameras were not in the bathroom with them. All you can hear them, and like I said, at one point you heard this banging. Almost like he was pushing her out the way or pushing her up against the door. So no one knew what was going on. You come to your own conclusion. He's already yelling. He's already belligerent. So no, she can very well have said, "Oh, he slammed my head up against the door." So I agree with him recording the interactions that they were having in the bathroom. So Taylor turns on the light and she's like, "Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and record me." And they just going back and forth, and he was like, "Look, I'm over this. I don't want to talk about it, blah blah blah, whatever." And she's like, "No, let's talk. I want to talk to you. I want to talk it over." And I'm over Taylor. I'm so over her, because Taylor antagonizes Brandon. Like I said, Brandon has his own faults, his own shortcomings. He's an asshole, we get it. But Taylor, she provokes him. She really does. Y'all went through all of this. You just called this man a bitch, okay? And on camera. And you are cornering him. Like, you literally are backing him into a corner, trying to force him to talk to you. And he's telling you, "Please move. Please don't touch me." So I had a problem with that. I had a serious problem with that. Um, but yeah, don't ever, if somebody like, "Get out of my face," please get out of their face. That could have went so far left, her being in that bathroom with him, because let's say you're up against the door, security or production can't get in there to help you. Like, why would you? Oh, I don't understand. I didn't get that. But anyway, they're going back and forth. So one of the other producers ended up coming. to get Brandon out of there because she was not trying to let him go. She was not trying to let him out of the bathroom. So one of the producers came and was like, "Look, I need him to come out." He comes out. They take him to one of the other bedrooms for the night. And well, let me go back because while he was recording Taylor in the bathroom, she had this smirk on her face the whole time, and she's like, "I just want to talk, and I don't want to do this." And I'm like, Taylor, your game has been peaked, okay? Anyway, so he's in another room. They everybody goes to bed, and it's the next morning. So the next day, everybody's in the kitchen cooking breakfast. Mike is at Brandon's door, talking to him through the door, asking him was he ready because the ride is outside to pick them up. And I'm like, where the hell is Mike going? So apparently Brandon had to go to work, and Mike had to pick out flowers for his uncle's funeral. So Brandon comes out. He goes outside. Mike goes into the kitchen to tell everybody that he's leaving. And y'all know, I'm pretty sure Mike was, I'm pretty sure it was killing him that they was in there making breakfast because y'all know that is his favorite meal of the day. So, but he's following behind Brandon. So he goes in there. He tells everybody he's leaving. He walks over to Mika and he was like, I'm leaving now. And somebody asked him, like, what's up? Where you going? Whatever. He was like, oh, he had to go pick out flowers for his uncle's memorial. Okay. So Mike gets outside and Brandon is in the van. So all of a sudden, you can hear it lock. Mike can't get inside. So the producers, like the crew, is at the van window talking to Brandon. He won't let them in. So I'm assuming they wanted to be inside to film the ride to back to DC. And Brandon wasn't letting them in. So Mike comes out and he's like, what's going on? They're like, look, he won't let us in, so he either needs to come out or unlock the door. And this is your ride. So like basically you need to talk some sense into him. So Mike goes over on the other side talking to Brandon, and then he goes talking to producers. Anyway, Brandon ends up getting out the van and he just starts walking down the road. Like, dude, just he was acting like a child. He was. Cause my thing is, go ahead. If you don't want to talk to them, fine. Let them get in the van and film you just being silent, looking out the window, or put on your earbuds and fall asleep. Like, there's a way to not cause a bigger scene and comply without really giving them footage. I mean, I would just put my earbuds in and fall asleep. That's what I would do. Let them come in there. Anyway, so they end up leaving. So later on, Jessica and Austin, they're taking a tour of the caverns. Um, Derek is, he steals keys to the golf cart. Him and Katie, of course, she's beyond excited because he stole. Like, this is the adventurous side of Derek. In other words, she wants the high school adventurous Derek that was sneaking in, petting elephants. He steals the keys to the golf cart. They go riding around the property, and they stop. He pick her up some weeds, and they end up taking some paddle boats out onto the lake. So Taylor and Mika, they go to some paranormal excursion, and while they're on their way, Brandon texts Taylor. Now, see, Taylor made it seem like Brandon just out the blue texted her and was like, have fun on your retreat. I'm not coming back. Anyway, so they get to this house. They're talking to spirits, looking at lights, that supposedly, showing that they have some type of connection with with the spirit world. Anyway, everybody's back at the house. Mike ends up coming back, and they all sit down for dinner. They start asking Mike, how did everything go? Did he get things straightened out? And Jessica, she is like the ringleader. Okay, she's like just grilling Mike, just grilling him. Um, like this, I don't know. It was kind of like it was so many different questions and conversations and whatever going on. And so Mika was asking him, so did you go to the festival? And he was like, no, we dropped him off. They was finding a park in the parking lot or something. They waited on him, and something about they took Brandon. They took him, changed clothes. It was, I don't know. It was just all over the place. And they were like, well, why would you do that? Why is this? Why is that? And he was saying, so they were like, well, did you get to meet with your family? Did you get to do this? Did you get to do that? And so basically, he was saying that the production crew was chauffeuring him around this whole time. And Mika was like, well, why didn't you drive? That would make more sense. And it was just too much. I felt it was unnecessary. I felt like it was interrogation. And I don't think it was, to be honest, I don't think it was so much of, like with Jessica, even though she was interrogated, I don't think it was so much of them trying to catch Mike in a lie, more so Brandon. Like they were trying to figure out what was Brandon doing. Did he really go to work or what? That's how it came off. So Taylor, while Mike was talking, Taylor was like, this is bullshit, basically calling him a liar. And then Mika was like, so did you hang out with him at all? And he was like, no, we dropped him off, we waited, whatever, we didn't go to the festival. And she was like, okay, I was just asking you, did you hang out with him? You said no, that you took him to work and that was it. I mean, I was just asking. That's all you had to say. And I'm like, am I missing something? Now, I know Mike is a liar, but I didn't see the difference in what he said and what Mika was telling him he should have said. He said we took Brandon to work, which was at a festival. We did not go inside and hang out with him at the festival. We took him to work. So I didn't get what she was talking about. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. But I didn't get what she was talking about. But she obviously was trying to show everybody else how he lies and, his stories doesn't make sense, whatever. So they kind of, Jessica kind of left it alone, but Mike was clearly, he was frustrated. He started shifting in his seat. He started rubbing his head. You could tell he was frustrated. And he was like, I'm out. So he ends up leaving. Now, I don't know. I just feel like, okay, yeah, you ask him questions, of course, like everybody's talking about, their day, but it did come off like an interrogation. And I felt like he did come back, maybe he didn't want to be there without Brandon. I don't know. I felt bad for him for a tiny, teeny, teeny, teeny bit. I know, y'all, I'm sorry. I know Mike gets on my nerves, but I kind of felt bad for him at that moment because he came back. He was excited to be back. He seemed like it. He was helping them cook and, he was out there grilling. Like Mike, unlike Brandon, Mike enjoys being with the group. He gets a kick out of it. He enjoys it. Now, mind you, he wasn't giving his wife much attention because it seemed like there was something else going on prior to them getting there. But he does engage with the group and he does seem like, he enjoys that part of it and he participates. So I just felt tiny bit bad for him that he kind of was ambushed. That's just what it seemed like. But anyway, so that was the end of that. That's where everything kind of stopped. Brandon never came back. He told Taylor he wasn't. But yeah, oh, so speaking of that, on the ride to the paranormal activity, Taylor was like, "Oh, Brandon just texted me." She made it at that moment. It came off like he just texted her out the blue and was like, have fun on your retreat. I'm not coming back. But when they were at dinner and they were asking Taylor about Brandon, she was like, "Well, I text him and I said, have a good day at work." And then that's when he texted back and said, have a good day on your retreat. I'm not coming back up. See that, hearing both of those versions, the first version made it seem like just out the blue, he's like being, this drama queen, like whatever, have fun. I'm not coming back. When in fact, he was responding to a text to her. She said, have a good day. He said, have a good time. I won't be coming back. I didn't see a problem with it. But yeah, that's it. That's my review. Please leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. I'm really interested. I really want to know what you guys think about the whole Taylor and Brandon, because that was pretty explosive. And I can't believe she put herself in a situation where she could have gotten hurt. Like, I just can't believe she did that. Anyway, guys, all right, that's it. Until next time, take care.